Hi guys, welcome to Rossi Audio again. Like I mentioned, I have been sent requests on topics people want me to talk about. And I thank you all for being so active in this channel that you're now starting to request topics that I can do. I still have a lot of topics spinning around in my own head, but hey, let the topics and the ideas come. I'm thankful and grateful for it. It means that you are involved in the channel, and that means a lot to me. One topic that I have been requested over and over again the last month to talk about is room acoustics and how to treat your room acoustically to make sound better. Well, that is a little touchy subject for many. Not only the business and the people involved in the audio business, but for the better half. You know, if the man of the house has an audio file lifestyle and he wants to treat his sound environment, let me call it like that, it can become touchy. Not always wife-proofed. Some wives approves a lot of stuff and they tolerate a lot of things, but most of them are like, you're not putting that in my living room, that's for sure. And we're talking about diffusers and bass traps and absorption panels and you name it, you know, and foam 16 by 16 foam squares on the wall and stuff. Doesn't fly with most wives in the living room. So what can you do to make the sound better? And let me tell you right off the bat, I am no fan of using EQs. I believe EQs is a big no-no. If you have to use EQ, either you have shitty equipment or you have a very shitty listening environment. I do have a couple of EQs, the one down here and one over there. The one over there is a BSR, totally normal thing, $75 thing. The one down here is a Certain Vega, and the only reason I have it is because I collect Certain Vega. I don't use them. I never used EQs. I have tested them and tried them, but I never used them in my setups. Because I don't need to. Because I do other things to make the sound better and correct instead of using an EQ. To me, EQs are kind of fake sound. It's not what was recorded on the vinyl or the CD or the cassette tape or the 8-track or whatever you have. It's kind of like you're coloring your sound either one way or another. You're adding on or you're detracting from, and one way or another you're coloring your sound. And I'm not a big fan of that. I want my sound to be the way the artist and the producer intended it to be as recorded, or if it's a live recording, as it was live. So if you don't use EQ, what can you do? Well, let's go back to the wife situation. Let's say you have your sound system in the living area where your family normally also occupy space and time, and you share that space with them, and sometimes you get visitors over too. So of course the wife is going to have a word in it when it comes to the interior decoration of your sound area, okay? But there's things you can do to circumvent the wife by kind of like bribe her in a way without her knowing she's getting bribed. Let me show you one thing. Most living rooms have windows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, whatever. All windows has glass. Glass is very, very bad for high frequencies. Most windows with glass also have not an American flag, but they have this type of material, kind of like lightweight, smooth, almost like nylonish, thin fabric called curtains. They do nothing to reflect or absorb or in any way help high frequency. That has a very minimal effect. So what you do is you tell your wife that, hey honey, I'm going to take you to the store and I'm going to buy you some new curtains. I think we need some new curtains in the room. And you take her to the store and you buy some thick ones. Heavy duty thick curtains. Really dense ones. Absorption. That helps. And the wife is happy. Woo! And then if you are like most people, you have hardwood floor, or you have laminate or parquet or target or whatever you call it, whatever the name is. That is also bad, along with hard surface walls, because we're talking about high frequency here, and hard surfaces, bad combination. That's what you want to eliminate. Those are the things that create listening fatigues first. So you tell your wife again, maybe a week later or 2 weeks later, or next time you get paid, because this is going to get expensive. When the wife is involved, it's going to cost money, okay? So you tell her that, honey, look, the TV is there, the sofa is here, coffee table here, end table's there, love seat here. Wouldn't it be nice with a big, nice area rug right here to match the curtains? And she will go like, yay! Let's go to the store, the home interior store, and get some rugs. And then you say, well, we can get some more rugs and put here and there and match them up. And, you know, you got her. More absorption and less reflection of high frequency. So you see, little by little, you're improving your listening area. And this is, I tell you, this is when you're sharing the space with the wife and the kids and everyone else. And of course, you can't hang panels, like 4-inch panels on the wall, because your wife probably won't approve that. And you can't do things to the ceiling either. So certain things you can't do, but there is always wall art. Take your wife out to an interior decoration store and find out if you can buy some wall art that is fabric, not pictures with glass frame, with metal frames and glass in them. Find some wall decorations that are made from some type of fabric with some density to it. And she'll go nuts because you're trying to help her decorate the living room, you know? And you put that on the wall. And then after you've done that, you tell her that, hey honey, I really should get some stands for my speakers if you don't have that already. And you know, these round things they're called bass traps. I can put them behind the speaker and cover them. What if I take you to the flower shop and we buy some plants and put some plants in the corners and we put I can put my bass trap behind them. She might go for that, so you buy some plants too. And then you hide your bass traps behind the plants. Now the wife is on board. So you see, already there you probably improved your sound 40%. Especially the bass and some of the high frequency, but you're still struggling with some high frequency reflections and stuff like that. And get some more plants. I tell you, you probably won't believe this, but big plants absorb sound in a weird way. If you have some big elephant plants in there, I mean, they absorb sound. They do. And that helps. I mean, every little bit. And I didn't say it's going to be cheap. I said when the wife is involved, it's going to cost money. So you try all these things, and it's just your imagination that it's like putting an end to it, what you can do. If you want to trick your wife into all kinds of things, you can do anything, you know. So that's the way I see it. If you're living in a living room and the wife is there and she is having a say in it, of course, there's another scenario, and it's way cheaper and way less complicated. Let me put it like that. And that is, if you have a room like I have here, that is a dedicated listening room and a dedicated man cave, and no one has anything to say except you. Then things become differently. Then we're talking about manpower, and then we're talking about going full out, full-blown acoustic treatment of the room. Okay, some of those things still apply, such as covering up your window with some thick curtains. If you don't have carpet on the floor already, if you have hardwood floor in your dedicated listening room, put some area rugs in there, several places, in front of the speakers, in front of the stereo, between you and the stereo, between you and the speakers. And now you can put a diffuser on your back wall, opposite from the speakers. You can put bass traps in each corner if you want to, if you need to. And you can use the 12 by 12 or the 16 by 16 foams. And how you use them is you sit down, you get your wife again to come into your room, you invite her as a special treatment, and you give her a mirror, and the mirror should be at least 8 by 10 or 10 by 8. And you tell her to put the mirror up against the wall and move it along the wall as she walks towards the speakers. And when you sit in your chair, you look at this mirror. When you see the tweeter in the mid-range in that mirror, you tell her to stop and you mark it, and that's where you put foam from the floor up to the ceiling. And you put 2 rows, so either 24 or 32 inches wide. And then you decorate the behind the speakers. If you have a 12-foot room, I say you should do at least 8 or 9 feet. If you do the whole width, that's good. You should do at least 1.5 times the height of the speaker, starting a foot up from the floor. So you measure, you go up from the floor 1 foot up the wall with nothing, and then you do 1.5 times the height of the speaker. If the speaker is 7 foot tall and your ceiling height is 8 or 10, then of course you're gonna have a problem. Then you just do it all the way from the bottom up. The diffuser in the back, a lot of people say you have to follow the BBC formula. No. BS, bullshit. No. The BBC formula works in many cases totally okay. And in some cases it works wonders and it's perfectly. It will not work in all kinds of room. If you have an L-shaped room, forget about it. If you have a room that is very long and narrow, forget about it. It works in a very square-shaped room, almost if it's true square. You can make your own diffuser. There's different types. Look up diffusers online and build the one you want. You can build them in different lengths, sizes, you know, whatever you want. And you can, if you don't like the diffuser that you build the first time, you can always cut off, you know, and add on. You can change it. You can do changes. There's no problem. If you build a diffuser yourself, it's going to probably cost you somewhere in the $25 range with all the equipment that you need and material. So it's a cheap investment compared to curtains and the stuff that you bought in the living room. And the foam, you can buy foam on eBay for next to nothing. I think you can get like 12 or 14 pieces of the 12 by 12 or 16 by 16 for about $20. So if you buy 5-6 of those, let's say you invest 150 bucks, you can get your room set up pretty nicely. Do you buy prefab panels to put on the wall and prefab bass traps? I wouldn't. I wouldn't spend $500, $600, $700, $800, $900 or even thousands of dollars of prefab products. You build this yourself for a fraction of the price. you can build 4 or 6 panels that are the size of a rock wool sheet. Don't use fiberglass or glass fiber insulation. Use rock wool, and they come in pre-cut sheets. And you build a wooden frame around it, and you on the outside you cover it up with some kind of a fabric so the dust from the rock wool doesn't go into the room, because you shouldn't breathe that in too much. You can build plenty of those and hang on your wall. You can use fabric that is nice colors. You can use fabrics that has print on them. You can do whatever you want, and it's not going to cost you a whole lot. You can probably build 6 panels for 60-70 bucks max, and I think I'm exaggerating on the price. You can probably do it cheaper. So if you have a dedicated room, a man cave, where no wife and kids will spend time with you, you can acoustically treat your room for, let's say, $200-300, maybe $400 at the most, and get a very good result. Don't forget to do the ceiling. Ceiling, you do, if you have the speaker set up, you go 6 inches in over the speaker, and you do 2 rows. So you cover at least almost twice the depth of the speaker out in front of the speaker. And you do it all the way across. In the back, where in your sitting area, you also do a double line in your ceiling, because ceiling is a very tricky place. I have a stucco ceiling. It's a little bit better than a smooth one, but not much. My room is gonna get treated because I have way too much reverb and echo. So just go online and look on the best tips, because there's many out there that gives tips on how to do this. But if someone gives you a tip and their disclaimer is that they have education and knowledge and they're gurus and only they know how, and they want you to spend a lot of money on their products, run for your life. It's not worth it. You can do it better, you can do it cheaper by yourself. You don't need these guys. I tell you, the audio business is full of snake oil, and room acoustics is another one. Do it yourself. Just follow a few simple guidelines that I told you about on how to place it according to your speaker. That's all you need to know. And if it doesn't do it right the first time, well, then you just add on a little bit more. If it gets too much damping or absorption, the sound is going to kind of like sound a little bit muted, well, then you take a little bit off. Nothing more than that. So for the ones of us that have a dedicated room like this, or a bigger room than this, or whatever, or if you have a garage that you have converted, or a shed that you have converted, or whatever, you're good to go. But remember, if you have to do the wife solution, it's going to cost you. I tell you, but it's worth it to keep the wife happy, you know. But it's going to cost you at least 3 times as much to do a room treatment when the wife is involved as when she's not involved, let me tell you. I'm being asked, well, a lot of people say that these foam things that are 12 by 12 or 16 by 16 are not good enough or efficient enough. They are. They are meant to be used to cut down and stop and prevent frequencies that are very high frequencies to bounce around in the room. They're not made for woofers and subwoofers and all that stuff, but they work perfectly to kind of like tame and restrict the bouncing of high frequency from the tweeter. They're more than efficient, more than good enough. And if you combine them in a correct installation with panels, because you use the foam in the near area of the speaker, The foam is used around the speaker. Then you have panels in other places in the room. And you have a diffuser in the back. So that's the ABC on easy street, easy living, easy way to do it with room acoustics. And I'll tell you, as soon as you start playing around with some room acoustics, you will not, and I tell you, you will not need an EQ. Most people that I have talked to and helped or been around who have been using EQs for years, and they have done no room acoustics. I mean, not even the simplest thing as a big fat rug on the floor or some nice fat curtains in front of the window. You know, just those two things alone has an impact. And you know, as soon as I tried to tell them and help them to do the room acoustics in either way their situation was, I want to say that 8 out of 10 walked away from the EQ. So, and it's not that hard. Look it up online. There's a lot of stuff online about the acoustic treatment of rooms. So, but of course, if you prefer to don't do your acoustics and just use an EQ, you can do that. But in my ears, a sound that is influenced by an EQ does not sound right. It just doesn't. I understand using EQs for live and concerts and stuff like that, because that's a totally different environment. We're talking about arenas, outside. You have to tweak the sound when you go to a concert and you do pro audio live. But in your house, you don't need an IQ. You don't. Just do your acoustics. I hope this helped. Until next time, have a good time.